What's up guys, it's Jess. I make tech related videos specifically about my journey as a self-taught web developer, and I'm currently on a journey from becoming a web developer to a software engineer working for a big tech company or startup, and showing you guys my life along the way in vlog form. I also do a couple of unboxings here and there, so if you're interested in any of that, please consider subscribing to my channel. And with all that, let's get right into today's video. If you've been following my channel for a little while, well, I don't have that many videos on here, but if you've followed me for any amount of time, then you know that I make a lot of videos surrounded around being self-taught, learning how to code, that part of tech. Like I said, I also like technical gadgets, but my channel is really focused on getting into the tech industry as a developer specifically. And this video, I thought it would be interesting to give you guys a different perspective and share some things that I've personally gone through that I think could cause someone to just quit altogether learning how to code if you are not going to a boot camp or a university for this. These are some things that I myself have found have hindered me and have slowed down my process and really getting to the goals that I've had for myself in a large capacity. So I'm hoping that today you guys take something from this video, one of these things, and hopefully you're not already doing these things, but if you're not, then hopefully you can hear these things and not do them at all. So let's get right into it. The first thing I want to talk about is going into this blindly. And I touched on this a little bit in one of my previous videos here on this channel, but I really wanted to touch on this again because I do feel like it is very important to know what your goals are. Now, these don't have to be super concrete, like this is the end all be all goal, end game, road in my tech journey. It doesn't have to be that. You can still make them moldable, but I think having an idea of the bigger picture instead of just going in and coding can help in the long run. For instance, I first started, I think my very first language was C. I had no idea what to even do with it. I was just learning it because I used an app called Solo Learn and it recommended it as my first language. Now, looking back, I really didn't have a necessary need for C. However, it did help me when I went to go take courses like CS50, the Harvard CS50 course on EDX. It helps me understand that a little bit better, but ultimately it wasn't a language that I felt would strongly suit some of my end goals. So I guess my biggest piece of advice would be to figure out what are your interests? Do you have an interest in going into web development, game development, app development? With app development, do you want to be Apple or Android? Figure out these things. You don't have to spend a lot of time doing it, but I think not going into it just blindly will help greatly in the long run because it'll kind of help you not waste time if you decide that a language may not be even used for what it is that you're trying to do. Do your research first. Take the time to do your research, and I think that it'll make your journey a lot smoother and it won't be so overwhelming in that space. The second thing is creating your own curriculum. I think a lot of people who are self-taught, especially if you've never tried, you're just super fresh at this, never learned how to code, never looked into this at all, I think we forget that we have to create our own curriculum, and that in itself could be enough to make someone quit. There's an overwhelmingly amount of resources out right now, and so trying to choose from all of these resources can be pretty overwhelming in itself. So I want to just make that clear that it's not like boot camp where you're giving tasks and you're giving challenges or however that. I've never been to a boot camp, but I'm assuming that's how it is. It's structured but really fast paced. Or like university where okay, I have a syllabus, I have this course, that course, I'm going to be doing this semester. It's not like that when you're self-code, and that goes without saying. I think that's kind of, self-explanatory or common sense, but there are definitely, when I first started, I wasn't thinking of it like that. I was just kind of following what I felt like I should be doing instead of really sitting down and saying, again, getting back to those goal settings. What are my goals? What do I really want to do? Why do I want to learn how to code? And that in itself can actually aid you in helping you create your own curriculum. I wrote my first line of code in 2018 and it is now 2022. And so from even that short amount of time, there's been an abundance of free resources, Udemy courses, EDX courses, boot camps. It's just the possibilities are endless when it comes to choosing your specific learning platform or resource. So just be mindful of that. Try not to let it overwhelm you. I think again, getting back to goal setting, if you know what you want to do, it'll make it a lot easier to set your own curriculum. But there are ways to there's different systems you can put in place to set up your own curriculum. So my biggest tip for this, to not get overwhelmed and let it be a reason to make you quit, is to get back to your goals, figure out your whys, but also try to do some research on these universities. Some of the universities will have their syllabus readily available, just without you even being enrolled in a school. You can access these things. You can go talk to one of the college advisors and say, hey, if I wanted to come to your school for computer science, what all is included, or like what all would I have to do, like what does this curriculum look like. You can go to these bootcamp websites, because these websites, like bootcamp websites and like Udemy courses, most likely they're going to have what's included in their course outlined for you, because you want to know what you're getting for your money. If I'm paying for this, what am I getting? So a lot of these courses online will have it laid out, like first we're going to do HTML, then we're going to do CSS, then we're going to jump into JavaScript. Heck, if you go to Free Code Camp right now, you can look through that whole entire curriculum. And even if you don't want to take that, if it doesn't suit your learning style, still see, okay, what is the order of how they're teaching this? Because more than likely you'll start to see the pattern. You'll be like, okay, well, if I start with this, this, and that. But again, it gets back to what are your ultimate goals, because you may not have to spend a whole bunch of time on like HTML and CSS, which really for all of this, I don't think you really have to anyway. But if you want to be a front-end developer and work a lot with people's UIs and stuff, I do think that you should be strong in CSS, because you can, the possibilities for that are endless. So, just figure out what you want to do, why you want to do it, and then let that help you create your curriculum. The next thing I want to talk about is not finishing what you've started. This is a big one for me, because I am a creature of habit, and one of my bad habits is, if I feel like one of the languages I'm learning is a little too difficult, or it's just a little bit too challenging for me, I will hop over or find a reason to hop over to the next one, which doesn't make sense, because if you really look at these languages, it's just like a spoken language. Once you learn one, it makes it easier to learn the next one. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but it does make it easier. So I would jump from JavaScript to Python, from Python to C# to C# to Python, and back around. And you can see how that could be a time suck. Like, it's literally wasting time. I'm not getting through any of the things that I need to. I'm learning the basics and the fundamentals of JavaScript, and then when it gets to getting into it for real, and just actually doing the work, I get scared, and I'm like, okay, wait, Python I heard was easier. Let me go over here, because then that might make it easier to learn JavaScript. Please don't do that, okay? I can go on and on about that, but please don't do that. If you pick a language, if you've gone through all these other steps, you know why you want to code, you know what you want to do, pick a language and stick with it. But it also leads into not getting too comfortable and knowing when to switch it up. For example, like I was taking a JavaScript course on Team Treehouse. I started with Team Treehouse. I love their HTML, CSS. I learned a lot about HTML and CSS from Treehouse, but I didn't really mesh with the JavaScript instructor on Team Treehouse. Instructor that I got, he was really good. I'm sure he was an amazing instructor, but for me, it just didn't fit my learning style. It was very distracting the way he was teaching. And so I went back to Free Code Camp. I knew when to switch. I knew when to turn this off and say, okay, this particular resource is just not going to work for me to learn JavaScript. I'm not really gaining anything from this. Be honest with yourself, because getting back to our last point, there are an abundance of resources out there. So if you're feeling like a resource is not working for you, please go ahead and just find another resource that fits your learning style. You understand the instructor, or if it's self-paced like Free Code Camp, or it's just like self-guided, and that's how you learn better, stick with that. Know when to switch, but don't switch too often. The next thing is not getting too overwhelmed. I have struggled with learning how to set boundaries for myself when it comes to learning how to code. I've set unrealistic deadlines for myself, thinking that I was supposed to or could get certain amounts of work done in a certain amount of time, which were very short amounts of time. And to beat this race and get to this finish line of something that doesn't even exist. So basically, I'm timing myself and I'm putting pressure on myself to give myself these deadlines for no reason. Now, I understand everybody is learning how to code for different reasons. Maybe you do need a job quickly. Maybe you do need to make a career switch to help your family or yourself. I know I'm in a situation, where I want to better my life for my family and myself, and to just, live up to what I know I'm deserving of. but it doesn't mean that I have to stress myself out and make it not fun. Know when to stop. Okay, know when to give yourself a break. It's okay to code for an hour or 10 minutes and get frustrated and then walk away and come back to it, later that day or the next day. Don't take too long of a break, because you do have to practice how to, you do have to practice. This is a skill like anything else. You do have to use it or you will lose it. But don't make yourself so stressed out that it becomes a thing that is not enjoyable, okay? Because then that's when it's going to get to the point where you're going to want to quit. You're going to be like, you're going to lose sight of what you even started for, because you're going to be so overwhelmed, and that's going to overtake the bigger picture. Also, another thing to touch on in this space is to know that it's okay when things are not clicking right away. I may learn something and it'll take me a month to actually resonate with me, whereas you may get it in 2 days, especially if you're working in groups with people or you're reaching out to people and they're like, hey, yeah, I understand this, and you feel like, well, dang, we started this at the same time and I still don't understand it. It's okay. Just keep going. I promise you, it took for me to finally buckle down and say, okay, I'm taking free code camps courses, but I'm also going to do a project while I'm doing this. So then what I was learning from free code camps, some of the things were a little gray. I wasn't really fully understanding it, but once I actually did a tutorial and actually was coding, I was like, oh, that makes sense. I understand now because I'm applying it. Don't psych yourself out and be like, oh, I can't do this, or I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, because you are. And it may take you a little bit longer than someone else. I know for me, it be taking me hella long to learn stuff, but I don't let it get to me, or I try not to, because again, that could be something that could just make you quit altogether. And if this is something you really want, just remember why you want it. Trying to do everything alone. Again, you guys, these are things, everything that I'm mentioning today are things that I've gone through, and some of these things I'm still trying to work through. So, if they're striking a chord, trust me, I've been there, and this is why I'm sharing them. So stop trying to do everything alone. Find your community. Get a mentor if you want to. Go to these meetups. I'm trying to tell you guys, meetups are like chef's kiss, like gold. Like, again, this is how I got my first job. This is how some other people on YouTube have said they got their first jobs. This is not fictitious. This is a real thing. Go to meetups if you can. And if you can't, try to see what virtual meetups are going on in other cities, because it doesn't matter if it's in your city or not. A lot of things are still being done online. People are not getting together in person still. And so there are still meetup groups that you can join, even being outside the state. And you can just hop on the Zoom call whenever they have them. Find your community on Instagram. Even if you're not a person who is like wanting to show your face on Instagram or be social in that space or in that aspect, just still try to get comfortable with having an account. Even if you don't post anything, even if you just post like your code or desk setup shots or whatever else you're interested in, have an outlet or an account so that you can find other people who are doing the same things. Like, follow people who inspire you in the coding space. And I'm telling you, it'll be so beneficial. I have an amazing community of friends on Instagram, women who are inspiring me every day. Even if we don't speak, they will comment on all my stuff and just keep me motivated to do better, because they're doing better. It holds you accountable. And I've also had a situation where one of my Instagram friends, she actually helped me debug one of my projects. I was working on a weather app project, and it was something super simple, but because I had been looking at it and I'm also new to JavaScript, I wasn't looking in the right space. And it is embarrassing, the error was just right one line above where I was looking for it. And it was just like a typo, but still I was able to create that relationship with someone who saw a post about me saying like, today I'm going to be working through an error, trying to debug something that it has been taking me so long to work through. And she's like, hey, upload it to GitHub, shoot it over to me, I'll find it. Literally in 5 minutes, I was done with that. Chop it up, it's done, because I created that space. And so yeah, find your community, guys. I always say this and I mean it. Get in my comments and network with each other. See who's talking about what resources are people in my comments using, because you guys are really good, especially on one of my other videos. I'll link it here. You guys go to that video, because there's been a lot of people who are subscribed to my channel commenting on that video what they've been doing, and so you might find some stuff in there. You might be able to connect with some of them, because I know a lot of them were looking to connect with other people. So, use your resources. Go join some Discord groups. I'll leave some of the ones that I'm a part of or that I, really like down in the description box below as well. So yeah, stop doing everything alone. Find your voice, find your community, find your comfort zone, and socializing with other people. Because while developers and programmers is like really kind of a loner career where you're just kind of communicating with the computer all day, you do need communication skills and being able to meet new people and talk to these people. And networking is like one of the top things you'll want to learn how to do and get under your skill set. So stop trying to do it by yourself. The last thing I want to talk about, and probably the most important to me, or the most like thing that I take personally, is to stop comparing yourself to others. You have to realize that our journeys are our journeys. It's okay to find inspiration from other people and to admire what they're doing and say like, dang, I wish I could do that someday. But to also in the same breath say, I can do that one day. I will do that one day. And that is just what it is. It's their journey. I have my own journey. And I say this all the time. You guys are going to continue to hear me say this because I truly believe it. What is for you is for you. So we have to learn to stop looking to others and making, letting what they're doing affect how we think about ourselves and what we have going on. Start to really celebrate the small things. If you debug something for the first time, that is a huge deal. If you learn how to write a HTML document, that is a huge thing. If you learn how to create your first variable using, in JavaScript, that is a big thing, okay? Learn how to celebrate the things that you are doing. And I promise you, you will start to see these things compound on each other. All these different wins are going to become one big giant win. And you'll look up one day and be like, dang, I did that. I really got a job and I really taught myself. So again, it's okay. I think you should, like my last point, find your community on IG. And I said IG, Instagram, and, find the people that inspire you and keep you motivated to work. Even if you don't talk to these people, it's just seeing that, like, try to really form your feed around people who are doing things that you want to do. And again, I always try to say things that can be taken, even if you're not getting into tech. This is one of those things. Find the people who are doing the things that you would love to do and keep you inspired so that you can hold yourself accountable. Like, okay, that's what I'm aiming for, or more, or something like that. But don't let it get to you. Don't see someone else posting and let it make you feel bad because you may not be doing the same thing, or you're not on the same level yet, or you feel like it makes you feel like, dang, how did they learn how to do this? They know how to code just without looking stuff up. That's not true. So just always remember that. Find people who inspire you, but do not compare yourself to other people, because that will be your biggest downfall. That will be your biggest break, is not realizing your own power, because we all have our own. They're all unique and they're all special and they're all needed. So keep that in mind. I also want to share this with you guys because I saw it on my feed one day and I can't remember who posted it. I really, really wish I could, because I could give them credit. Basically, the person was saying like, what do you do when your friends have a success? They share something that they just had success in, whether it be graduating or, get a certain certificate or award or anything, a new job, whatever it is. You congratulate them and you move on, okay? You be genuinely happy for that friend, genuinely congratulate them, but don't let it affect you in a negative way where you're like, dang, I wish I could have done that, or I wish I could do that. You congratulate them because that is their journey. That is their life. That's what happened to them. And you go and you move on and continue working towards your destiny, what is meant for you, because there is something waiting for you too. You just have to go get it. It's literally just up to you. It's up to us how far we go. So we may feel like we are not doing things at a certain speed. We're not hitting goals at a certain time where we saw ourselves, or where we see ourselves at a certain time. It may not happen like that, and the timing may be off, but just remember that the timing's not off, because I believe in God. So I'm gonna say God's timing is always the best timing. And when we think that things are supposed to happen a certain way or at a certain time, that's not always true. And we should be grateful in those moments and look at the positive side to say, okay, that didn't happen because I have something better coming. And if I were to get this big blessing right now, maybe I'm not ready for it, but maybe 2 weeks from now, 2 days from now, 2 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever, I will be, and I'll be able to appreciate it more and actually walk within my purpose with that. So I'm gonna stop with the motivation. I can get real lost in that, but I really, you know, a lot of this stuff I also say because I'm talking to myself. All right, so that's gonna do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this. I love you guys so much. I really appreciate all of the support that you guys have shown me. You guys got me to, I think by the time I post this, I might even be at 3K, so thank you so much. My next video is going to be about how I stay organized and keep track of things while I'm learning how to code, different tools I use and how I organize things. So if you're interested in that, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you don't miss that. That's it. If you guys found this helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up so that it can help someone else. If you found it helpful and think someone else could get some type of value from it, be sure to share it. And again, as always, thank you so very much for being here, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.
It's not that I don't want you here.